Hey everybody, welcome to part 2 of my lesson series. Today we're going to cover straight flight, some basic turns, and some climbs and descents. Easy stuff to get you used to the controls. Alright, let's go fly.
Hey everyone, climb on board with me, Lewis, the Mitten Pilot. So let's go fly and experience everything the Mitten has to offer.
Okay, so the first part of straight and level flight is actually going to be transitioning from this climb to straight and level flight. So a good rule of thumb is about 10 feet per 100 feet per minute climb. You're going to start your level. So at 2950, which is right at where I'm at, I'm going to reduce a little bit of power because I'm climbing 500 feet a minute, so do the math. A little bit of power to my cruise power. Let the nose come down a little bit. You should have seen that come down a little bit in the camera. And I'm going to let it sort of sit here for a minute and pick up speed. We can see my airspeed is somewhere around 85, 87 knots. We're letting it pick up a little bit. And I'm right at 3,000. And I can feel on my left hand where I'm holding on to the yoke, a little bit of pressure pushing against me, which means the airplane still wants to climb. So I can reduce power just a little tiny bit, but what I really want to do is I'm going to use my trim tab, the wheel down here, and I'm going to wheel it forward, which is up. And I'm going to wheel that forward until I can feel that pressure release. When I do that, the aircraft is now in trim. I've got a spot on the horizon against the cowling. I'm not flying by instruments, so I'm using references to outside, visual flight. So I'm using my cowling as a reference to keep about that far, approximately, off the top of the cowling to the horizon. And I'm keeping anything distant in the same spot over the cowling. Now it's a little bumpy, so it's sort of trickier. You just kind of have to be patient and do your best to be light on the controls and just keep the plane flying generally that direction. You'd be surprised at how accurate that can be. So after all of that sort of lengthy discussion, I can quite clearly see that I am still going straight at this sort of white dot way off in the distance, and I'm at the same altitude. A quick peek shows me at 2975. So again, with the bumps, it's going to vary a little bit, and that's okay. Plus or minus 50 feet would be really good for a student pilot. You're looking at 100 feet or so on your first try. You're probably going to be all over the place, which is okay. So this is now straight and level flight. From here, I can make some gentle turns. Let's see where the airport is. I've gone a little bit more south than I really wanted to, so we'll actually that works out pretty good. Let's make a quick turn to the right. So when you turn the airplane for shallow banks, say 5-10 degrees or so, let's try that, 5-10 degrees, it is going to, right there, try to fix itself. Well, the wind's not helping, but it will, its stability will keep it from continuing to bank at that little level. So we can just do a tiny little bank and then hold it there as we come around. I'm using a tiny little bit of right rudder because I'm turning to the right. I want to stay in what's coordinated flight so I don't slip to the inside of the turn or skid to the outside of the turn like in a car. And it's quite bumpy, so I apologize for the view. It's all over the place. But these little teeny tiny turns gets us going back to the west. Now, if I want to turn a little bit more sharply, say 10 to 25, 30 degrees or so, when I initiate my turn, I'm going to have to coordinate a couple of things. One is rudder, always, when you make that turn. You want to make sure that you stay coordinated. It's more efficient and it's safer. So we're going to make sure that we coordinate that turn. And I have to pull back on the yoke a little bit because as the airplane banks, it is going to turn some of that lift that's pulling me straight up. Now it's going to pull to the side a little bit, this horizontal component of lift they call it. So because that's going to pull me a little bit to the side, I'm losing a little bit of the straight up and down lift, and I'm going to pull back on the yoke just a tiny little bit to keep my altitude. So there's a steeper turn. We're looking at about 20 degrees right there. And I've pulled back just probably a little bit too much, plus I've hit some thermals, I've gained a little bit of altitude. But notice now, instead of trying to go back to level flight at 20 degrees, I didn't quite get to 20. So we'll do this again to the left. Back to the left, we'll go all the way to 20 now, a little bit of rudder, and now I have to actually put the airplane back to a neutral position with the yoke, or it will continue to bank. So there's 20 degrees, nice easy turn, a little bit of pressure backwards towards me with the yoke to stay at 3,000. Perfectly done. Easy peasy. All right, let's initiate a climb. So, transitioning to a straight climb, full power. If we had carb heat or anything else on, we would turn that off. We'd make sure that our mixture is full rich. I'm going to ease the yoke back a little bit. If I want to, I can add some back trim. We're not going to be doing this that long. And I maintain that pitch back to my climb speed, my cruise climb speed, which is right around 70 or so knots. I'm right there. But again, I don't even need to look at the airspeed indicator. I should be able to just put the cowling up a little bit on the horizon to see where my pitch angle is. So somewhere around the edge of the top edge of the cowling, right on the horizon, now I have a climb. And now I'm up at 3,500 feet already, just like that. So we'll level off at 3,700 just because it's an easy round number and we're getting close. So again, at 500 feet per minute climb, I want to start my level off 50 feet below that, so 3,650, which we're coming up on. Right there. Ease power back, release a little bit of pressure on the yoke. Let it build up some speed. I'm doing a mix of listening to the engine and looking at the tachometer to make sure I'm where I need to be. And verifying, always verifying my pitch attitude against the horizon. So I can see the horizon is in that same, about 3 fingers place for me based off of my height. Everybody would be a little bit different. And we've got those thermals pushing us up again, so I have to be a little bit more vigilant with the power and a little bit more movement with the yoke as opposed to when it's, you know, a nice non-bumpy day. But there I am, right at 3,700 feet. Descent is going to be the opposite. For a cruise descent, we are going to reduce power, and we're going to let the nose come down from that 3 fingers to about 4.5, 4 and some of my thumb. It isn't much to get a good descent going. Now, if we were doing a descent for landing, we would have a different configuration. This is what they call a cruise descent. I'm just trying to lose some altitude, get to a different altitude. Air traffic control told me to descend to 3,000, or maybe it's you know, you've flown a long way and you're getting ready to get close to the airport, but you're not actually doing your landing yet. You're going to do a cruise descent. All right, so I'm going to aim for, let's say, 3,400 this time. So again, it's the same in reverse. I'm descending at about 500 feet a minute. I want to stop my descent at 3,450. And so I increase power back to cruise, pull back on the yoke, get to my attitude my visual attitude against the horizon, and then adjust trim if necessary. Now, because I've had it in level trim, at cruise power before, there's probably very little chance that I actually have to adjust my trim. I should have picked 3300. Alright, so now Howell is back behind us, so we're going to do a right turn back to, we'll call it 060. So I'm going to initiate the turn. There goes over to 20, pull back just a hair, and I'm going to maintain that pitch off of, I'm staring at the horizon. A little bit of rudder in there so that I'm coordinated. I'm going to double check just to make sure, especially if I had a student pilot in here, I'd be making sure that we're coordinated, plus you can feel it in your butt. You feel you're rotating around the center of the turn. I'm looking down at my directional indicator, and then I roll out a few degrees before my heading. Boom, 060, didn't lose or gain any altitude. Done. That is straight and level, some basic turns, and some climbs and descents. The kind of thing that you're going to do all the time as a private pilot.
Alright, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, click that like button and make sure that you subscribe so that you can follow along with all of my Mitten Pilot adventures. Thanks for watching. See ya!